welcome to Meeple Village. We are here with Jared. He's going to tell us a little bit about the games he's got right here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So we can start right on the end here. So we've got Run Fighter. Don't look at that. We've got Run Fighter Die. It's our zombie game here. So it's a dice rolling game. You play a survivor, and you are trying to run away from the zombie horde. It uses what we describe as the Yahtzee mechanic. So you're going to be rolling the dice and re-rolling the dice over and over to activate abilities on your character, or you can use abilities on the survivors you pick up, or you can use item cards, and then the dice themselves also will either eliminate zombies or push them backwards, which is actually you running farther away. But the fun part about this game is that if you move any zombies off your board, you actually push them onto another player's board, so that they have to deal with them. So it's a very light game. You know, it's mostly just dice rolling. It's just kind of mindless fun. Tortuga is a newer game that we have here. This is going to be deck building and area control, pretty much in a box.
Okay.
You play a space pirate in the year 2199. Let's pretend I knew that. And you have your own spaceship. You have your own pirate captain with your own abilities. And the deck building aspect's pretty straightforward. You have resources that you buy more cards with to put them into your deck. You use those cards in your deck. What you're trying to do is control enough areas on the board to meet the threshold to get enough points to win. So it's what we call zero sum. So you only have the points as long as you control the area. So if you lose the area, you lose the points. Fun one here, War of the Worlds. This is actually came out before Tortuga. It's from the same designer. It uses a similar system. This is just a two-player game, though. It's based on the old War of the Worlds radio show. One player plays the aliens invading. The other player plays the humans who are defending. And the goal of the game is that the aliens are trying to either eliminate a certain number of humans or take over a certain number of territories, and the humans are either trying to eliminate a certain number of aliens or survive long enough to where the aliens basically winter comes and they can't survive any longer, and then they just die off.
Aliens don't like winter.
Yes, exactly. Zoned Out. This is one of our most colorful games by far. It is a city building game where the game starts where there's just the downtown center and then these 4 cards here. What you're going to be doing is every card you play has 4 little city blocks on it, whether it's parks or parking lots or different types of like business buildings. What you're trying to do is you're trying to play cards to build up areas of matching not only the types of buildings, but the number of buildings. So if you see here, there's like 3 little yellow buildings. There's also squares that have 2 yellow buildings and 1 yellow buildings. There's also blue buildings and pink buildings. So if you want to build these 3 yellows, you need to find more 3 yellow cards, and you want to play them on top of each other and build these little areas. And then once you build it, you actually put your pieces and they stack vertically to show on the table that you built it. And then you get to add your piece to the center skyscrapers that you're building up, which are also worth points if you have the most in those skyscrapers at the end of the game. We have Bushido, which is one of my all-time favorite 2-player games here. This is based on, if you ever played the old PlayStation 1 game Bushido Blade, this is the inspiration for this game. It was a samurai fighting game where you could beat your opponent in 1 strike. So in this game, you're going to be drafting these cards from these different schools. The cards are going to give you a certain number of dice as well as the color of the dice. And then you'll also be rolling extra dice from whichever of your guards that you're in. And you'll have a weapon that you equip. And that weapon will have an ability based on what guard you're in that may give you more dice or abilities. And basically, you're going to be doing these dice rolls where you're trying to load up the hit track on your opponent's board. The hits don't resolve until their turn. So on your turn, you're going to be doing your effects, rolling your hits, loading up theirs. And then on their turn, they're going to be rolling dice and playing cards and doing their abilities. And then their track's going to resolve, and they take an amount of damage equal to whatever it shows underneath there. You only have 12 health, so at a certain point, these little skulls up here, if it ever resolves on a skull, you're done for. You're just, game's over. So that's how you can beat them in 1 turn, is if you roll enough hits where they get so high they can't reduce them all, then sayonara, buddy. So we got Reavers of Midgard. Most people know our company for Champions of Midgard, and this is the 2nd game in this series. So this one is, it's very similar to Champions in a lot of aspects, but it's also quite different. This is much more of a, as we describe it, kind of like a point-salad Euro-y game, so it's a lot of more on the resource management side, and most everything you do in the game gives you points. You're going to have your Viking ship here, and instead of rolling dice in the way that you do in Champions of Midgard, where you roll dice a lot for like combat and fighting monsters and everything, dice are more of a resource in this game. And it's single worker placement instead of multiple worker placement. So you'll go to a space on the board, and you get a bonus for going there, and you take the action, and then every other player gets to take the action as well if they want, and then they get a lesser bonus as it goes around the table. So that's how you make up for only having 1 worker. Exactly. So generally with conventions, what we'll do is we will discount games that get a little bit farther, depending on what convention it is. So if it's closer to our headquarters, it's easier to ship stuff back. A lot of times when we discount games, it's mostly the more that we can sell, the more, you know, we like to give people deals too. You know, like we're gamers ourselves. We want to make sure people can get games at a good price. But also, it's easier for us to not have to ship back so much product. So GreatFoxGames.com on our website, we have pretty much all of our games there. You can find it for order. Even some older games that we won't have here. We also have exclusives. We have Kickstarter exclusive promos and versions of games you can buy on the website. We have play mats. We have upgrade kits. All kinds of things there. We also have a newsletter you can subscribe to, so you know all of our upcoming Kickstarters and games coming out that we're going to be doing.
Thank you, guys.
There you go.